Number 18 is a question about a segment that is being partitioned. In this one, it says line JK in the coordinate plane has endpoints with coordinates -4, 11, and 8, -1. So if it helps you, you can graph those 2 points. We have -4, 11, which is right here, and we have point 8, -1, which is right here. So you know the segment or the point that you're coming up with has to be on that segment if you join those 2 points. It says that we want to graph JK, which we could connect those to graph JK, and then find 2 possible locations for point M so that M divides that segment into 2 parts with lengths in a ratio of 1 to 3. So remember, the first thing you want to do is you want to convert that ratio to a fraction. So remember, it's going to be a part over whole fraction. The part we want is the first number, and the whole is adding those 2 numbers together. So as a fraction, that would be 1/4. Now, in this case, it's not giving us a direction like the problems we worked. It's saying you could go either direction. That's why it's giving 2 possible points. So you could go 1/4 of the way starting here, going toward this point, or 1/4 of the way starting at this point and going toward that one. So that's why we have the 2 different points that are given. So if we want to start with the point -4, 11, and then go toward 8, -1, remember the first thing we would do is find the rise and the run between those 2 points separately. We're not writing it as a slope and simplifying it. We're finding those 2 numbers separately. So remember, it's going to be the second point minus the first point. So if we're starting here and going here, this is our second point. So the rise would be our y values, -1 minus 11, which would give us -12. Our run would be the x values. 8 minus a -4 is the same thing as 8 plus 4, which is 12. So now I can find my x coordinate. I want to find 1/4 of that distance. So I'm going to find 1/4 of the run for my x. So 1/4 of 12. That's how far I'm going, but I'm starting at this point, which has an x of -4. So I'm going to add that to -4. So 1/4 of 12, 4 goes into 12 3 times. 3 plus -4 is -1. Now I can find my y value. I know I want to go 1/4 of that distance, so this time it's 1/4 of the rise, which is -12, and I'm going to add that to the y coordinate of my first point, which is 11. 4 goes into -12, -3 times, plus 11 is 8. So one of the points is the point -1, 8. That is the point that is 1/4 of this distance, starting at this point and going towards that one. So there's only one of our answers here that has -1, 8, and that's B. But on your test, you're going to have 2 possible answers that have that first point, so you're going to have to know how to find the second point as well. So the only difference in finding the second point is now you're starting at this point and going towards this one. So when you go to find your rise, and you always do second point minus first, now this is the first point and this is the second point. So now my rise, which is the y value, would be 11 minus -1, and that's 11 plus 1, which is 12. My run would be second point minus first point of the x's, so it'd be -4 minus 8, which is -12. I still want 1/4 of that distance, so for my x, I want 1/4 of the run, which is -12. And remember, you're adding that to the x of your first point, and the 8 -1 is now my first point. So I'm adding that to 8. So 4 goes into -12, -3 times. -3 plus 8 is 5. My y coordinate would be 1/4 of the rise, so 1/4 of 12, added to the first point's y coordinate, which remember now this is the first point, so I'm adding that to -1. 4 goes into 12 3 times. 3 plus -1 is 2. So my other point is 5, 2. 5, 2 is also on this line segment, and it's 1/4 of the distance starting here and going toward here.